Welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion, and I am Peter. And you guys on the other side of the mic, as always, is Watch Party. How you doing, sir?
It's watch
Watch,
party.
yeah. My apologies. A little out of it, just a little.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm good. Excited. I'm in a fighting mood. I'm not
Yes,
good. I'm in a fighting mood.
yes. I am still fighting against my list. We'll definitely get
Oh
there.
yeah, jeez.
Yeah. This episode is top five fights. I may have a bigger list. I don't know. We'll get there, but. Yeah, we had to postpone a couple recordings. Just my voice is going in and out. You guys can probably hear it. But yeah, I also feel better than I have the last couple of days. I don't know if it's just the change in weather. Maybe the kids are a little bit under the weather and gave me something. But yeah, yesterday I was just really tired and muscles just seems to not work and couldn't really stay up but my voice was going in and out. That happened earlier today. It sounds like it
Mhm.
came back, but it sounds different. But we'll kind of just get through it and um get to our list here. Now, in
Mhm.
terms of the writer strike, for those that are kind of keeping an ear out on updates and whatnot, no major updates at this point. There's been some interviews that have been out there. Shout out
Mhm.
to friend of the show, Ken Cole. He has
Mhm.
an interview with the TB3, the big three, John, Josh, and Hayden, out there in the picket lines. And there's some nuggets in there. I would definitely say check it out. I don't want to regurgitate too much from it, but Watch
Mhm.
Party, was there anything that you kind of took away from any of that at all? Like anything, maybe not
Well, let's
new.
expand because
Okay.
Tig was there too,
Yes,
Thomasine
yes,
Griffith and Alicia
and
Hannah Kim.
Mary
Um,
Page Keller.
and yeah, right, and his wife. I enjoyed it just because it's fun watching him interview one and then like you see Terry Silver walking in the background or something and you see the others in the background like so yeah, check out the watch the video even it's fun. But as far as like nuggets, I mean what kind of stuck out to me just briefly is like he was talking to John and John was explaining how yeah they were in production with season 1, the strike was officially on so they couldn't do any rewrites. But like they felt like, okay, that's okay. We can come back to it later in the production run when the strike is over. We can come back and maybe do a pickup or reshoot a scene, here and there as they're going through. And I mean, the reason that stuck out for me is I was like, wow, that's like exactly what I said in my video when I said they're in production.
Are you seeing John plagiarize your video?
Um, I I wasn't gonna go with that angle, but we could go with that angle,
Yeah.
But now I question him as a writer if he's got to plagiarize.
There were some fun things. Hayden shared something that I never really thought about, but he talked about like growing up and falling in love with like certain television shows and movies. He was always fascinated with like who came up with this idea, and I'm very much that way.
The Zuckers,
That's right. Yeah, he
Zucker
credits
Abrams
them
Zuckers. That was
exactly.
actually significant to me because I loved those movies growing up. I used to
Yeah.
like we used to go to the video store. I'd rent like The Naked Gun, um, like every week or Top Secret. Which like even when
Yeah.
I was that age, I didn't know it was the same people who made those. It wasn't until like college when I like looked up the movies I used to watch like when I was little, all those the Zaz comedies they were known as at the time, Zucker,
Mm,
Abrams, and Zucker.
okay.
Zucker, I think it's pronounced Zucker and Zucker. But
Yeah.
yeah. So when Hayden said that, I was like, oh,
Top Secret, I feel, is underrated and probably not appreciated enough. Early
hmm
Val Kilmer there
yeah,
is a great one.
yeah.
Um, so
Airplane to the original. Yeah,
exactly. I haven't. I wonder. I don't think there's an Airplane 2. I feel I haven't seen,
they didn't
but
do that one.
okay.
Yeah, that was done without them because and they actually even explain it in like the audio commentary to Airplane, I think, which
Oh
which I
wow.
listened to because I listened to the audio commentaries because that's how much I like those movies.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
same thing. I am like Back to the Future. I have watched those movies
Mhm.
in French and English. because I was taking French in high school, and I was like, why not? I love these movies. I know what they're saying, and it might help me in class. And
Smart,
yeah,
smart. Yeah.
so kind of interesting to watch it that way in a different language. But with Back to the Future, same kind of thing. Like uh, I feel in my opinion, like Bob Gale is probably bigger to me than Bob Zemeckis, who directed the movie. And
Hmm.
both of them penned and directed all three movies respectively. And without Bob Gale's idea of that story about Marty going back and bumping into his parents, that movie never would have been made.
Hmm.
Bob Zemeckis wouldn't have come up with that. So I've always been fascinated with that as well. And anything that made me feel or have like a strong opinion about, I would often look, yeah, who wrote this? To just get an idea and see what else they've made. And if I've seen it, great. If not, maybe that's something I add to my list to watch. So yeah, always fascinated with the people behind the scenes. And that's kind of how I approach my interviews as well, is just kind of trying to figure out like who came up with certain things just because,
Hmm.
certain things just kind of stick with you a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
So, yeah, check out the video. I do like how, right, Terry Silver's kind of hiding in plain sight, at the WGA
Yeah.
strike. So so that's pretty funny. I think I feel like it's Deadline, right, where even John was like, "Yeah, look around, you might find Terry Silver hiding somewhere around
Yeah, I
here." Or
think that was on a Deadline
yeah,
interview. They were there
so
too.
just a few things out there. A lot of them have been showing up to different studios lots and stuff. So yeah, that strike continues, and again, hopefully we or they can reach like a fair deal, something that all the writers deserve, and kind of get back to work doing what they love. For those that would like to contribute in some way, donate what you can. There is a fund. It's called the Entertainment Community Fund, and I will include a link in the show notes. If you want to help out with that, that will go to them and provide things like food and whatnot for those that are out there picketing. So that's something that I was able to find out about by reaching out to Michael Jonathan Smith. So shout out to all of them who are still doing this. Just to put pressure on the studios to get things done. So I think that's all I have. The other bit of news, I guess you might, I don't know if it's news, but it's something worth bringing up. We had allegedly an audition for a role in the DC universe.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even we can't necessarily confirm it was even an audition, but
Oh, okay.
but yeah, basically the news is, at some point somehow Mary Mauser was being considered for Lois Lane. That was the um basically the news. We don't know to what extent or anything. I made a little short that I posted on YouTube, and I posted it on Twitter too, just to put it out there, I think. But because really, like, the source of this big rumor going around was just like this guy who's on a podcast, but like he hangs out with like agents and managers or something, and he just kind of like talks to them like, hey, what's going on at your agency, who's getting sent out for what or something. And somewhere in this conversation, someone like threw out the name Mary Mauser as a potential for Lois Lane, and that was one among many. But like, even then, I don't know that necessarily even she auditioned. He didn't even say that. It was just like a name that got thrown out by people who don't work for DC, who don't work for James Gunn. So that's, you can take it for whatever it is, which isn't much.
Got it. And I feel like that's it. I know there was a little bit of news on the Twisted Metal front where it was announced that certain parts of the world will be
It's
uh,
international. Yeah, it'll be.
international. Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They'll be able to get access to watch this as well.
Mhm.
Also on the premiere date of July 27th. So, and ever since we last recorded, I think the more I know I already put out there like, hey, if you want to follow that coverage or the future coverage of that Twisted Metal on Peacock, look for Companion Network, and you could subscribe to that feed or whatnot. I think I might actually start a separate feed just for that. and just keep Nostalgic by
Whistle
itself.
Metal Pod, yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's a
that makes sense to me.
yeah,
In fact, I was thinking of suggesting that to you, um, off mic, but here we are on mic,
yeah, yeah. So I
and then
think,
it could
yeah,
be everything's under the greater umbrella of Companion Network, and then you
right.
have different podcasts, right? Isn't
Exactly. Yeah. I just want people like to be able to search something specific and then you get populated all of that. And,
Mhm.
so I
Yeah.
liked the idea of a shared feed, but it didn't, I playing around with, my hosting site and whatnot, it didn't look like it was going to be able to, um, it wasn't going to allow me to do what I wanted to do with the network. Like I still can't seem to figure out how to give it its own respective like cover art. It's still using nostalgic, and so just those little logistical stuff that makes me like, you know what, it's just gonna be easier if I just create a separate feed, and I
Mhm.
just got to remember to pay annually for all the different feeds that I have. So. That's really it, So wanted to throw that out there for anybody that was gonna that wanted to kind of continue my coverages outside of Cobra Kai, but still kind of like within people that worked for the show.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the little bit of housekeeping. So we will get into our list of this week's topic, top five fights. Sir, I wouldn't say this was an impossible task, but holy cow,
I
there's
would, I
just
would.
okay, okay. Now, my thing is like, man, going through this, I was like, should I reach out to him and say, like, can we amend it? Like, can we change the title a little bit so that way we can do something like top five physical altercations, and then we'll have like also a top five fight, or fights, so, something like that. Just trying to word it differently so we can have similar episodes, but focusing on like a different thing. So like a physical altercation, maybe only one person fights and the other one just is there to take it, kind of thing. So so when you were going
Like
through,
when Johnny hit Anoush, boom.
yeah,
Is that
exactly.
your
Just
number one too? Is that we both got that as number
number
two?
two, number two.
Yeah, yeah.
My number one
Oh,
was Johnny and Louie with the bat. Yeah,
oh,
so
yeah.
so many. We could talk about like some of the little physical altercations, that people kind of forgotten about. Maybe the beach, with Cruz and the switchblade.
Right,
Just
right.
little
That
things
one.
like that. But how what kind of criteria, if any, did you have for yourself? What were you looking
That's a
for?
great question. Like
Okay,
criteria, because
yeah,
and I'm gonna go through this because as I was making my list, almost everything on the list made it for a different reason. And I think that's part of what I gave. And so I'll go through this
okay,
um as I'm explaining it. So like everything on the list has like is there for a different reason is the best way I can say that right now.
okay. For me, I feel like I was trying to avoid. Well, let me rephrase this. I was going for kind of what do I remember imagery wise from
Mm-hmm.
some of these fights, right? Whether it be
Mm-hmm.
from the trailer or just watching it, and anytime I think about that fight, like certain sequences from that is what it's kind of known for. So there's some really great fights, but if I sat there and I hadn't seen that fight, in some time, I'm like, well, what else happened?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So I was trying to go with like by memory. What were some of the biggest things that kind of stick out? Maybe a kind of a danger meter involved, possibly. Like was this more like fun, or was this badass, or was there actually some sort of weight to the fight?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So this will be tough, and I know we kind of been doing it a little bit differently since we started this. I think what would be easier in terms of like order or whatnot. If you came up with the topic, I think you should start first. So I think just so it's easier to remember, kind of thing. So you came up with top
Or
five fights. Hmm.
I started first last time, didn't I? But
You did.
okay, you want me? So now
Yeah.
we're instituting the new rule. Okay,
Yes, yes, yes. And that's, change again. But I just think it would be easier so that way I don't have to try to remember who went last time. So
yeah,
coming up with the rule, it's probably
yeah,
easier.
and well, okay, here we go. And by the way, like I know no matter what you put on your list, like no one's gonna agree because I think you could get 10, 20 Cobra Kai fans, big fans in top 5 fights, and everyone will have a different list. Like they may even have the same fights, but they'll have them in a different spot where it's like, how'd you put that at number 4? That's got to be number 2 at least. Like, I don't know. But
I know it,
yeah,
also because there's just so many of them, and guess what? My list could probably change tomorrow.
yeah,
Which is the other
I'm
thing.
still considering revising mine right now. I don't know, but
Mine is definitely not set in stone. I think, for the purpose of recording this, I think I'll keep my five the way it is, but
Mhm.
my honorable mentions will change. Now, let me ask you another thing. Um, would you want to just on the fly make this a top 10? Do you, or do
No,
you have do you have eight? You only got
I
eight?
stuck. Yeah, I stuck
Okay.
to it. I
Okay,
got eight.
fair. All
I
right, I'll so it gives me a little time to
adhere to
eliminate
the
two from my
format,
list.
Peter.
Yes.
Adhere
Yeah.
to the format.
All right, we'll do. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
since I'll go first, I'll go first.
Yes.
Um, this one I think people won't put, but I'll explain. All right, number 5, season 6, episode 1, long, long way from home, the beach fight.
Mm,
Johnny and Robbie against the thugs. This one made the list partially because it is perhaps one of what I think is one of the most emotionally satisfying fights.
mm.
These guys are thugs that we watched them totally scam Miguel. They're pure assholes. They scam Miguel, and since we love Miguel and we're worried about him, and now he's even in such a precarious spot, losing all his money, we really dislike these guys, and they try to scam Johnny, and then he's gonna go fight, and then Robbie jumps in, and then Johnny and Robbie fight together as like a father-son duo, which is something we've been waiting. It's the 5th season now, something like this. It's so great. He shoves that the surfboard up his ass. They're going to be surfing you.
Yes, yes.
you
I
know,
was going to mention
it's
that. Yeah.
yeah. It's just one of the most emotionally satisfying bits, and it's cool. It's well done. It's great that both Tanner and Billy are both very, they have the physicality themselves, so they can pull a lot of this off. So it just makes it better. They can use the actors more. Just so much fun. I get excited just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that. I don't have it anywhere on my list, but
Mhm.
it's definitely something I considered. It's just
Mhm.
one of those things. We have so many to choose from.
Yeah.
And at first, when I told myself, all right, I'm gonna go back and watch these fights, I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, what were they? Fives and tens where all the fights were? And then I started going through them like, no, no, there's some little ones here and there. And so it's just one of those things. And I try to have some meaning behind some of my selections, so we'll see how it goes. My number five, I have from episode 302, Nature versus Nurture, the chop
Mhm.
shop fight.
Mhm.
Okay, so for those that watched the show, whether it be season 1 or 2, you were also part of that lull, the year and a half waiting for season 3. Um, I'm trying to remember that first episode, but I'm almost certain there's no fight, and so this was kind of the first one. Well, unless you want to count like Miguel's dream, but that's
Yeah,
not,
Miguel's dream. Yeah. Mhm.
so, but aside from that, this is also the first time Johnny and Daniel fight together, but also the fight ends with them kind of fighting together as well. But some of the imagery, that really badass move that they do together where Johnny kind of like sweeps the leg and Daniel like flips the guy over or something like that. And there's a sequence where the guy has like this massive chain that he's
Mhm.
uh put a hold over Johnny as if it doesn't necessarily look like he's trying to choke him because I feel like the chain was a little low, but they're fighting with chains and freaking wrenches and stuff like that in a chop shop. So it just looks really badass. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, just seeing them fight together, I think got a lot of people excited as well.
Yeah, that is a great one. I will say that was my alternate number 5.
Oh, okay.
Which may give you a preview of my honorable mentions, one of my honorable
Perhaps
mentions,
we'll see. We'll
but
see.
yeah, that was my alternate number 5. I compared them both. I went with the beach fight because like I for the reason I stated, the emotional satisfaction, but I definitely considered that one.
It kind of works out, like we
Yeah.
we both could have just flip-flopped
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
yeah, between our own lists. All right, back to
Okay.
you for
So
number four.
all right. Number 4, season 2, episode 10, No Mercy, the school fights.
Ooh.
I'm including everything in the school here. This one I put on the list because as far as like the big major set piece fights, which we've had, this is, I think, the best one. I'm comparing it to the house fight in season 3, the dojo fight in season 5. Just like it's just wild. It's a lot of fun. I rewatched it for this. And actually, by the way, a funny, interesting note. It's funny going back watching that after season 5 because like Chris and Mitch are fighting each other, Bert and Nate, and I'm like, why are they fighting each other? They're friends.
Right,
Like
right.
to go back to that. So, but there's just so much energy. I think it's really well done. A lot of the individual storylines in this, they're all executed. Of course, in the Tori going after Sam, and that's I think was really well done. And then the Robbie Miguel stuff was just obviously it just ends on such a I guess down note. It kind of it's a backbreaker, so to speak.
Absolutely. It doesn't fall flat, this
No,
fight, not at
yeah,
all.
this is you don't land on your feet on this one, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a very good one. I like what you said about the set piece because that really stood out. They really, it's kind of like, for those that like to watch, people dance and whatnot. I think the more interesting people, I don't want to say more interesting, but, I do like when people use or make use of the stage, rather than just
Right.
staying in one. Yeah. So, possibly more thoughts on this particular fight a little bit later.
Maybe, yeah. Oh,
Maybe.
I was gonna say also like I even like the build up to the fight, which I would even kind of include that. I think it's got one of the best build ups to the fight with the whole Tori announcing and then the music's going and everyone's walking in the halls. So yeah, definitely.
Very good. So, I mean, again, more of this later,
Later.
perhaps. So I'm curious to see what's on the rest of your list.
Mhm.
My number 4, we are taking it all the way back to season 1, episode 105, Counterbalance, Miguel
Ooh.
versus Kyler and company in the
Mhm.
lunchroom. I almost didn't even have this on the list. It's just one of those things I kept on putting things in the top 5, rearranging them, taking things
Mhm.
out, putting in honorable mentions. It's just I was playing Tetris with my list for sure. And ultimately, I decided to put this on the list because Miguel has already gotten his maybe not his ass handed to him, but he's already this is like the third altercation with Kyler by this
Mhm.
point by episode
Mhm.
5. You have the well, I don't want to mention them in the event they come up again, but this particular school fight, Miguel finally is able to strike back. And the whole, it's not lame ass karate, it's Cobra Kai. You got
Mhm.
that, and also he is taking on all these guys by himself. So that's the other thing too. That wasn't necessarily a criteria, but I did consider like I think I was going to go in and pick where it was like one against a group,
Mhm.
but it just kind of started changing throughout my viewings of the fight. So that's what I have at number 4.
Number 4. Well, I happen to have that one at number 3.
Ooh.
So yeah, I had the same fight at number 3. My reasoning was I actually kind of viewed it as a great fusion of the first two reasons. It's emotionally satisfying for the reasons you said. Kyler's kind of kicked Miguel's ass a few times now. He keeps pushing him around. And Miguel really fights back. Plus, it's actually a decent set piece. That fighting in the cafeteria, they're jumping around. When Miguel he dives over the table and picks up the tray uh, to hit them with.
Yep. And that's on the same note as the imagery I was talking about, right? Like
Right.
we think about that iconic pose where he
Mhm.
smacks Kyler in the face with the
Yeah.
tray, and he's on top of the table,
Yeah.
looking like a superhero just landed,
There's
So
a little tidbit Sholo shared a while back on his Twitch where he said when he dived over the table and he picks up the tray, he was supposed to pick it up as he was diving, and he said he actually forgot. And so like he's like he like almost panicked because he's in the roll, and then he picked it up as he was coming off the table instead. And just the way he did it, it happened to look 10 times cooler. And that's the
Interesting.
shot that's in there. So it was kind of almost an accident from him, but it actually made it up looking cooler. Yeah. And then, like you said, he smacks Kyler, he stands up, and everyone's cheering. It's such a great like end to that fight. It's like a happy end. Everyone's cheering. He took out the school bully, and Sam's giving him the eye. um he looks back down. And
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
and I also like the lead up to the fight too. Actually, that's something Drew, Cobra Kai Kid, always says he loves, when he's like, once you shut the hell up and us quit being an asshole. That fight, and then when Sam was confronting him, actually the whole scene is really good. Because that's actually a really good scene where like Sam's being rejected by
Tyler,
well,
yeah, and
yeah,
the whole mention of
Aisha,
the
and well, like, and Yasmin was like not letting her, and then Aisha told her to go somewhere else, and then Kyler, yeah, it's a whole good scene, the whole scene, and then the fight is great. It's just a great cap. It was my favorite fight in the series for a while. After season 2, we had that long gap. People said, "What's your favorite fight?" My favorite fight was always the cafeteria fight. Stayed that way for a while. But we've moved
and
on. It's my number 3 right now.
yeah, yeah, it's a great number three. Again, I had it at four. And for those that want like a little bit more insight to what filming was like of that scene, check out my interview with Josh Shield, where we actually talk about filming that and a hot tub time machine. That was a solo interview back in 2019, I believe it was. So
And
that
you talked about it with Hito too, didn't you? Um, Hito and Janelle.
perhaps
Because I
like the
remember them Hito talking about how also actually a lot of that stuff, kicking the chairs and stuff, he added on the day because they got to the set and he's like, "Hey, wait, we can use this, like let's use the chair or something and stuff."
that does
I
sound
because I'm pretty
familiar.
sure that
Yeah,
came up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I guess tidbit will be inserted if said fight comes up. So yeah, just Hiro had a lot of insights, as you'd imagine,
Hmm.
being stunt coordinator for the first three seasons.
Hmm.
So that goes back to me for number three, right? Right. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yes. Okay, so I feel this may show up on yours, perhaps a little bit higher for based off of something that you said in the last episode about you have like a special place in your heart for firsts. So we'll see. This so this talking about going way back, uh, episode 101, Ace Degenerate, Johnny versus Kyler. This was so hard to put at three. But I wanted it to be in my top five for sure. And this is that drug that Johnny relapsed, right? Like this is what brings him back to karate.
Hmm.
And I think it's it's it wasn't everyone's gonna have a reason to have this on their list, I'm sure, but this is also the first fight and the little comedy moments as well sprinkled in there with homeless Lynn picking up Johnny's pizza
Pizza, yeah.
while spectating, and Rhea off to the side there covered in Pepto, just
Hmm.
all of that, and just there's not necessarily a wonder, but there's a pretty good long sequence of the camera following Johnny and him
Hmm.
doing like this one kind of a sweeping motion,
Hmm.
and the lines back and forth between him and Kyler. What's the matter? Trouble breathing?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So and then ultimately getting sprayed with pepper spray because he's the adult beating on the kids,
Yeah.
bunch of assholes that deserved it. So
Hmm.
that one at number three.
Yeah, it's definitely such a classic one. Yeah, I was remembering like you were talking about the inserts of like when homeless Lane grabs the pizza, and I remembered in the cafeteria fight then Aisha yells "No mercy," which is such a fun moment too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and then but this one, it's definitely, this was so great. I remember it as a fight. Because it's the Karate Kid fight, right? And in the original story, of course, Mr. Miyagi jumps in, and it's like the sensei or the teacher, the instructor comes in and saves the student, and that's exactly what's happening here, but reversed. And I remember that first time watching it, and knowing that Johnny was doing that moment for Miguel. It was the same, it's different, but it's Johnnyized, right?
Yeah,
uh,
it's different but same, and also flipping of the script. You know,
right.
yeah, it's kind of like he's
Mhm.
saving Miguel, but the
Mhm.
dialogue is like, "Hey, get away from my car."
Right, right.
So what kind of starts it is because they're beating on Miguel, and they hit his car.
Mhm.
But just the entire first episode, like the fight, it really pays off. With the kid, the guys showing up in the parking lot, and then one guy
Mhm.
blows vape into Johnny's face,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and even like this had nothing to do with the fight, but like homeless and thinking Johnny was homeless. He's like, I'm not homeless, that's my car.
Yeah.
So like all of that just
Good
perfectly written,
stuff.
chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's actually not on my list, but it was seriously contended. I thought about it,
I
but
feel
at
like
this
you knew
point,
it
yeah,
would show up.
yeah, like yeah, it just thought about it, but we've now had so many fights. I felt like I couldn't do other fights wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. It's almost like this one is like maybe you don't mention this one because it's the first,
Mhm.
like this one gets them all again. Like it's gonna get talked about,
Yeah.
obviously.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, back to you
Back
for
to
number two.
okay. So my number two, season four, episode 10, The Rise, Hawk versus Robbie,
Yes.
the final of the All Valley. This makes the list. This one reason I think in many ways this is perhaps the best fight in the show. It's just a long fight back and forth, two super skilled opponents where he's winning, now he's winning, then it's going back and oh, he's almost gonna win, he's almost gonna win. And it's like emotional, it's amazing. It's probably the best just like one-on-one fight like this, where it's just like a long, it's what you expect a fight to be. It's helped so much that some of the best of the kid actors, Tanner and Jacob, are like the most. Everyone always says they're the best at doing the stunts and the moves, and they were able to do a lot more with that, and so it looks great. So well choreographed, the music, every part of it, and there's so much suspense. Just the episode was set up. I didn't expect Hawk to be fighting Robbie in the finals, so like you just don't know what's going to happen. Like I was so sure Robbie was going to win, but now I'm not so sure. So as just a viewer, as an audience, I was able to really get into it and enjoy it. So yeah, that's my number two there for that one.
I'm glad that this is on your list because this is one of my honorable mentions. And so
Mhm.
usually the honorable mentions, we don't get too in depth of why it's on there. Like it's just worth mentioning.
Mhm.
So the fact that it's on your list, I get to kind of just give a little bit more, but everything that you said, by this point, the end of season four, we know these characters so well. We know what
Mhm.
these two fighters are capable of, and they both know the same styles. Right? They both know Miyagi-Do, they both know Cobra Kai, and the last time we saw these two square off, I have to really think about it. But even if we just go back to the last time they competed against each other in an All Valley the previous year,
Mhm.
Hawk got disqualified for kicking Robbie
Cheap
in
shot,
the
yeah,
back.
in the
Yeah.
back, yeah.
Yeah. So we never really got like a good one-on-one between the two, and um I didn't know which way it was going to go. Robbie's had so many huge fights over the course of these last few seasons. Just in the previous season, he was in juvie. He had the fight against Sean and the guys in there. And
Mhm.
so again, we've seen what
Mhm.
Robbie was capable of. But holy cow, like Eli, not too many situations where it's him versus a lot of people.
Mhm.
But we know what he's capable of. I.e. Hawk versus Brooks,
Mhm.
breaking of the arm, things like that. So we didn't know where it was going to go, except for that we knew that it's more Eli than Hawk at this point. So probably no broken appendages. um,
Yeah.
but still, yeah, just a very long fight, like you said, and just can't say enough about this fight. And it was just really, really hard to make it outside by five. So
Mhm.
wrap around to me for number two. You mentioned it. This goes back to 210 No Mercy, the school fight.
Mhm.
Everything that you said,
Yeah.
all the different little fights. This is where we learned that Bert and Nate have for some reason have a beef, right? Already they're beefing in the hallway. They're fighting. This is the fight where Stingray ends up going to jail,
Mhm.
right? For
Yeah.
fighting kids.
Mhm.
You get to see some teachers finally, but not a lot happened. One gets flipped over. The other one says he doesn't get paid enough for this. Uh, and like you said, the build up, Tori breaks in, and then I'm coming for you, bitch. And I'm always gonna remember that moment in the trailer because again, season two, what's gonna happen now? We
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
we established these characters, and Tori's a brand new character, and the way she delivers, no mercy. Like it
Mhm.
just sends chills down my spine because it's just
Mhm.
we've never heard it said that way. We're just used to the
Mhm.
no mercy. Like we're used to Chris saying it and Aisha
Yeah.
saying it, but like the way Tori delivers it, very haunting. And the what happens between Robbie and Miguel at the end. Obviously, we mentioned it, but also the spiked bracelet. That
Mhm.
Tori hits Sam with. So yeah, very great use of the set. At one point, Sam gets pulled by her hair down steps.
I
You
always
know,
thought that was the most like harshest thing of that
yeah,
fight is when
yeah.
Tori pulls Sam down by her hair. Yeah.
So just again, imagery, like just some of the sequences where they're circling around each other in the hallway. The whole damn sequence, from start to finish, is almost half of the episode.
Yeah.
So a lot to like. Again, hard to not mention this, and even harder to to put things outside the top five just to include this one. So
Mhm.
I'm glad it's on both of our lists.
Yeah.
So a lot of great things you've mentioned. I'm really excited to see what you got for number one.
See, I think number one's going to be my controversial one. I know there's people who disagree with it, but like, I'm just, I, yeah, I don't care. Season five, episode 10, head of Snake, Daniel versus Terry Silver. Um,
Okay.
it's a quick fight, but it just was like the epic fight. Like if this was the series finale, that's the fight to end with. It's a great fight. It's a triumphant moment. Daniel overcomes Terry, after getting his ass kicked. He's coming back. He's using his teachings. We get the audio from Karate Kid 3 and the Quicksilver, and Daniel doing these moves and beating him. And then of course it ends with the final, the
The crane
what's
kick.
the, yeah, no, I was
Oh,
trying to think of the musical term, the reprise, the
oh,
reprise of the crane kick. uh you know um yeah, so it just ends with that, and like I wasn't expecting that when I was watching this. Like I just wasn't expecting, like I just thought like it's not going to be there, like, and there it was. It was so good, it just blew me away. I got uh, crane kicked silly, I guess, myself.
I
I
like
loved
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't see it coming. I saw the hands go up. I go, no, no way.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he executes it. And I think I was still in shock that they even brought it back and
Mhm.
he uses it against Terry Silver of all people. You guys, we just did 510 not too long ago, and we
Mhm.
really talked about that sequence. It's a
Yeah.
very stand up and cheer moment.
Mhm.
Very satisfying to take a word that you've been describing some of your fights. I don't have it on there, but it is a great sequence. You mentioned it's a little short. My
Mhm.
number one, kind of different but same. Also versus or Terry versus Daniel in 505 Extreme Measures.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah. So this one, the reason I have this one because I talked about like a bit of a danger meter, right? You go
Mhm.
back and you look at my list that there's some weight to them. The
Mm.
chop shop, you don't really know what's going to happen, but you got these strangers using industrial sized weapons and
Mhm. Mhm.
um even Miguel, first time he's fighting by himself and holding his own. But with this one, the reason I have this one at number one because this is like to kind of compare to like comic book DC specifically. This is Bane versus Batman. He breaks his back. This
Mhm.
is what was it, Doomsday who kills Superman. This is Terry Silver who pretty much kicks Daniel's ass and and
Mhm.
and he's an adult at this point, versus when he was 16, 17 years old, learning to be a Cobra. And most people, I don't remember what the consensus was. Like if Daniel were to face off Terry Silver in the upcoming season 5, who would win kind of thing. I don't really remember that debate, but I don't think anyone would have expected Daniel to be broken the way he was, and Terry Silver delivering the lines that he's delivering, and then his boot on and Daniel's throat at the end of that. And the line that he says, what was it? Uh, the one about pain. I'm blanking right now, and I just watched it earlier today again too. Uh, God, I know people are yelling at us right now, but you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought your microphone might have gone out again.
No, I'm trying
Uh,
to remember what line it is.
it is the pain is about to begin, or pain.
Now the real pain begins.
Yes, no, yeah, now the real pain begins. That's it. And but also imagery, right? Daniel's punching the walls, and then he looks at his knuckles, and his knuckles are bleeding, and then
Bleeding,
we get
yeah.
the flashback to when he was younger and the
Like, isn't
bleeding
it?
knuckles. Exactly. So and also just the vulnerability of the look on Daniel's face when he first walks in, because he's not walking in looking to fight Terry Silver. He that's not what he was there for. He was there to make amends with Stingray, and bought him a new PlayStation. And so he wasn't in the headspace to like get ready for a fight. So I think also the build up to that, we knew what was going on. You don't walk into a dark building like that's a TV movie trope. Something bad's going to happen. You got to
Yeah.
turn on the lights, and
Mhm.
you're reducing the danger meter, right? Just by having lights on. But yeah, that's my number one. What do you think?
uh,
Your reaction was kind of you seem
yeah, it's a
surprised.
great choice. I like that it's like the mirror of mine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We were both thinking Terry Silver and Danielle, and yeah, definitely. And I think that the Terry Silver fans will love that. For some people, that is the end of the series, right there. But
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, we might have had him on that episode.
yeah, uh, but yeah, that's a great one. I like that. Which your reasons giving that it creates the terror, the suspense. Daniel on the ground, just beat up. Terry Silver towering over him, and tower
Yeah,
he does. He's so tall.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
Great reasons. Yeah,
yeah,
good
thank you.
choice.
So we'll go back to you, and why don't you give us like your three honorable mentions, and then recap your five.
Okay. So honorable mention, number one, season 5, episode 10, Terry Silver versus Chosen. I did like that one. The sword play, some great visual imagery in that.
Really
Um,
great. Yeah.
yeah, it was just, yeah, it was more, it's a middle of an episode fight, which I think ultimately works against it because like, Terry Silver goes to have a new fight after that. So I think that part of it, works against it, but, it is a lot of fight. It was definitely a fight. Many, including myself, were looking
It's
forward to. Yeah.
right. I like the way you just phrased that. Like, you said, working against it. Like, I feel it
Yeah.
was so like that fight doesn't belong on this list.
Mm.
That should have been something else. It's too cinematic.
Yeah.
It's too beautifully shot. I don't know. They actually have weapons, and
Yeah.
it's two warriors going against each other
Hmm.
and all these. I don't know. It's just too different from the other things.
Yeah.
To have it on my list. Funny enough, it's on my extended honorable mentions. But yeah.
uh,
Did you list all three?
so that was the first one.
Oh, okay.
The next honorable mention, season 3, episode 2, Nature versus Nurture, Danielle and Johnny versus the thugs from the criminal auto repair shop.
Mhm.
Um, I wrote it like that just because this is just a little tidbit. When I made my season 3 trailer video, I actually said that I talked about the guys in the criminal auto repair shop, and I got a comment. That's the weirdest way to say chop shop I've ever seen.
I
But
like that.
so I've always referred to it as the criminal auto repair shop because that's
You
just
know.
me. Like I didn't think chop shop. That's actually what I wrote and said. You can go
Oh,
back and
you didn't think chop shop. I thought you were just being
no,
clever
no,
with it.
I wrote it said you can even play the video. Maybe I'll find it and
Yeah,
post it.
that's
The
funny.
criminal auto repair shop. Um, and my third one, season one, episode 10, Mercy, Miguel versus Robbie, the final fight. Um,
Okay.
that was I think it was a great cap of season one. It was yeah, like this is like when I talk about like the first. So I didn't do the very first fight, but I was thinking like the big fight of season one, obviously the cafeteria and this one where Miguel wins and he wins with a Cobra Kai way. You know, he takes every advantage, you know. He'll attack Robbie's weakness and the fight and the back and forth and I really liked that and yeah, so it made the honorable mention for me. So
Yeah.
and then my top five, just going back through season six, episode one, season five. Why did I rate season six? God, hold
Oh,
on. I'll just
it's,
change
it's,
that.
it's definitely on your mind.
I'm giving you a sneak peek. No, season five,
Okay.
episode one, long, long way from home. The beach fight. Number four, season two, episode 10, No Mercy, the school fight. Number three, season one, episode five, Counterbalance, the cafeteria fight. Number two, season four, episode 10, The Rise, Hawk versus Robbie finale. Number one, season five, episode 10, Head of Snake, Daniel versus Terry Silver.
All right, fantastic list. For me, the one right outside my top five, had to mention them. Chosen Taguchi in season five, episode two, Malay.
I
Chosen
thought about
versus
that one. Yeah.
yeah, the Six Valley Senseis. Now this one almost didn't even make it because I was like, well, they're kind of like taking turns, but also this is the first time I get to see Chosen fight ever since the
Mm-hmm.
80s,
Mm-hmm.
so that was very welcomed, obviously. The my second honorable mentions is from 410, The Rise. You already mentioned it, Robbie versus Eli. And my third honorable mention is from season four, episode two, First Learn Stand, Daniel versus the hockey team. You know,
Oh, oh,
that that
yeah, that's such a
that
good one. Yeah.
yeah, that's a fun one. So
Mm-hmm.
because it was fun, it was like the last honorable mention. I just love how Johnny instigates that, and they're saying all these things about Amanda, and he gets Daniel to strike first, but he takes down the entire team by himself. So that's
Yeah.
that's why that's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And to recap my five, number five was season three, episode two, Nature versus Nurture, the Chop Shop. I'm not clever enough. And number four is season one, episode five, Counterbalance, Miguel versus Kyler in the cafeteria with the other guys. Number three, season one, episode one, Ace Degenerate, Johnny versus Kyler and those same guys. Number two was season two, episode 10, No Mercy, the school fight. And my number one was season five, episode five, Extreme Measures, Terry versus Daniel. Um, if you had to mention just one more, do you have one just off the top?
Well, it's funny because you were talking about the fight in Molting, season one, episode eight, and I hadn't really thought about that one, but that is like kind of a good fight that leads to a great ending, that ending cliffhanger. Um, so that one, um, let's see. You mentioned some of the other ones I had thought of, the Chosen versus the Senseis, and then the first fight in Ace Degenerate. Were there any others?
A couple of the ones that I've thought about was I kind of teased it where on the beach with like Trey and Cruz because
Yeah,
that's
that
where
one. Yeah.
Daniel jumps in and we get to see him fight. I also had on my extended list 401 Let's Begin, Robbie versus Cobra Kai. So that one was fun because he even
That
goes
was
at it
fun.
with
Yeah. I
yeah with
rewatched
Tori a
that
little bit.
one, but I went with the beach fight instead. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just so many great fights, and I feel like the next time we discuss this, it might just be like top five fights from season six, from what we might be
You
hearing.
could almost do that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But
Oh,
now's it.
you know what? The one fight I meant to include, I can't. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I forgot.
Is it Sean
When no
versus
Xander,
Sean?
and he
Oh,
led us
okay,
all in the
okay.
fight against hatred.
Yeah.
We have to fight against intolerance in our time.
Yeah.
That was my number one. Actually,
And there was just so many great ones from season five. But included one for season five at least. But some of the other ones just a little bit more classic, and so the recency bias with season five is just like it's still a little fresh, I don't know. I guess I'm just making up reasons, but so many, and you named some too. Just a lot of great ones. I mean, hell, we could have even talked about White Lightning, you know. Also, another great fight. All right. So as usual, I have been posting a little feedback thread in the Facebook group, and
Ooh.
that is the only place you can leave feedback currently, unless you email in. That is still an option out, as well at Cobra Kai, not at, I'm sorry, Cobra Kai pod at gmail.com. Most of my emails right now are people asking to be on season six. Because they think I'm casting. Literally, I'm getting voicemails and emails from people asking to get on the show. Okay, so in the group, I gotta find a thread. A lot of people, we've actually been sharing some pretty good stuff here. Fight, fight, fight. Gotta fight. Aha, here we go. And this wasn't necessarily a fight, but in the group, I shared the image of Amanda slapping Crease for the
Oh,
feedback.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. That's a good one.
So physical altercation. See, that could have been one too.
There you go.
All right. The first feedback comes from Kate. Um, and also, she said that she listened to some of these and have been enjoying them. So thank you
Thank you.
for checking out the episodes. She says, with so many amazing fight scenes, I know I'm likely in the minority here when I say my favorite may be season two, episode six, when the OG Cobras get into that bar fight.
Mm,
It's another great one. So,
yeah.
and I kind of mentioned this, not this particular fight, but at before we got into our list, I mentioned I kind of omitted the ones that were like fun and
Hmm.
and this wasn't because they were attacked. It was just some asshole who said a few things. And they got into a bar fight, So if there was a little bit more behind that,
Hmm.
uh, it could have been like more in consideration. Where are you on that fight?
That's a good one, and I feel bad. Maybe I should have considered that one more or something. It is good. I remember even bringing it up back in my season two review. It was good. Like in a way, you see the old Cobras, they all still got it.
Yeah.
Um, so that was, yeah, it was a lot of fun. They all worked together, just to kick some assholes. Thankfully,
Yeah.
and that every bar has a group of assholes who sometimes need to get their butts kicked. So this
Sometimes,
show takes
absolutely.
advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? Hopefully, there's one in season six.
I'm
Just one,
sure there
one,
will
one
be.
more. Yeah. Jeff, he chimes in. Oof. Now that's a tough one. I think number one has to be Johnny, Mike, and my man Chosen versus the Senseis at Terry's house. Though badass, and another great one from
Mhm.
season five.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think my mind was definitely a little less on season five, and not for anything in particular or on purpose. It just I think I was more doing research on the older ones, just because I feel like we just did like our season five review in the last few months, and
Mhm.
so I feel like I need to go back and watch some of these old ones to see how I feel, and they really excited me.
Right.
The next one comes from Jera. She says, this is tough, but I really liked Robbie versus Eli fight at the tournament in season four. They
Mhm.
were pretty equally matched, and I love the soundtrack behind this fight. So many of the things you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Next one comes from Ron. He says, so hard to pick, but number five, season one, episode one, Johnny defending Miguel against Kyler and his goons. That was the moment that hooked me on the show and got me binge watching ever since.
Mhm.
Another thing, I'm pretty sure neither of us mentioned, but the whole like the fact that Johnny, he didn't stretch or anything, like he just got into it
Mhm.
and doesn't pull something, but you see him kind of like wincing a little bit, like
Oh,
you know,
that first kick,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
got
yeah.
yeah.
So that was a good moment too. Number four, Eli's brutal beatdown on Brooks. Say that five times fast.
Oof.
Eli's brutal. Oof, I already fucked it up. Eli's brutal beatdown. I can't even finish it. Eli's brutal beatdown on Brooks. Eli's brutal beatdown on Brooks. Eli. So yeah, yeah, that's hard. It's tough. Um,
Mhm.
Definitely mentioned it. Number three, OG Cobra Kai's versus gangsters in the bar. Uh,
Mm.
they could be gangsters to Jace. Um, yeah. Number two, Chozen, Johnny and Barnes versus Silver and his senseis.
People like that one, yeah.
Yeah, people, yeah, it's a good one. And like Barnes didn't have a lot of moments. And so,
That's yeah, that's
you know,
just what was always disappointing for me. Like I wanted a little bit
yeah,
more Barnes in that. They I predicted like in a way I predicted that fight, but my problem is a lot of times when I get predictions wrong, it's because I'm thinking on such a bigger scale than what it actually is. Because I was predicting like Barnes, Chosen, Daniel, Johnny, and throw in like Bobby, like
yeah, yeah.
and like everyone like they're just all together and it's like a big 6-on-6 fight or something. Uh that's what I was predicting and it didn't quite pan out that like that. But
Maybe not till season six,
yeah,
six on
six,
six in
all
season six,
six.
all six. Yeah. And his number one is season one, episode five. Miguel beats up Kyler and his goons at the cafeteria. I picked
Mhm.
this one because the build up to it in the previous episodes led to a really satisfying payoff.
Yeah.
That was the turning point in the season for Miguel's character arc, his bond with Johnny, and his relationship with Sam. So yeah, I mean, we pretty much mentioned almost all of those,
Yeah.
even in passing with
Mhm.
Eli beating down Brooks. But yeah, really good one. Really hard to go against Miguel's first big win, right? And to
Exactly.
be go viral on social media and all that stuff
Mhm.
too. His honorable mentions: Brawl in the Hall season two finale, Daniel versus Silver season five finale Crane Kick. So there you go there. And his last one, Samantha defends her mom and Aunt Jessica against bully Karens in the Ohio bar. So when I was going through to jump to the Daniel versus Terry Silver fight in that very episode, I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna save that comment. I'm gonna save that comment.
You
That's a good
save it.
fight. That's a good fight.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. Jeff makes a couple comments, more so towards Ron. I just wanted to see if there's anything worth bringing up. Okay, all right. So the next one comes from Randy. Haven't heard from him in a moment here. In no particular order. Season four, Eli versus Robbie at the tournament. These were two very evenly matched opponents. I love the flair of the two of them taking off their shirts. I even thought about that. So
Yeah.
when you were talking about all the things that you liked about that matchup. I was about to say, well, we can't forget about these both took off their shirts,
Yeah. Mhm.
to make it a little
Fair
bit more
enough.
fun.
Mhm.
Um, shirts, along with the judge's befuddled shrug. Finally, I love that Robbie showed his true colors by bowing and showing respect to Eli despite all that had happened and despite Silver's objection. Season five, Robbie versus Miguel at the apartment. It started with the hilarious moment of the neighbor poking his head in for a brief moment. More importantly, it had the emotional catharsis and bonding for the two. Yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good one too.
That's a good one too.
Um, Season one, Miguel beating up Kyler's gang in the cafeteria. This was a catalyst not only for Miguel gaining the confidence he needed, but also Johnny's business taking off. Yeah, absolutely. Which we see in the following episode. Season five, Dimitri finally getting his chance to beat up Kyler. It missed doing his tech hacking magic. Man, that felt good. That's an interesting. That is a good one too, and it also comes around during like the your countdown, right? Like we're counting
Yeah.
down to a big thing, and he's able to kind of get this
He
win.
kind of like isolated the Dimitri Kyler that part of like I would just consider the whole dojo fight as one
Yeah,
fight, but um
exactly. Yeah, it's almost kind of like saying, like Nate versus Bert in the school fight.
the school fight, right? Yeah.
Well, and there's another imagery moment there is
Mhm.
when a hawk walks into the hallway and like shoves both their faces out of the way. Like that's another great moment
Oh
as well.
gosh, yeah.
Um, let's see, season five. Nope, read that. Season five showdown between Terry and Daniel. Who doesn't love the Quicksilver method being used against Terry? Then to cap it off with a crane kick was magnificent chef's kiss. Look at that. Yeah,
Hmm.
we all talk alike here. I love it. The next one comes from Joseph. List is not necessarily the top, as in most well done, but top as in feelings when I first saw it. Number five, season one, episode 10, Miguel versus Robbie. Miguel's full transformation and Johnny's realization of what he created chills. The look on Miguel's face when he tells Johnny, "Don't worry, I got this. No mercy." Epic. And
Hmm.
I gotta agree. When you were talking about that as well, that thought also crossed my mind where I'm like, that's also the moment where, we saw like a different Miguel. You talked
Hmm.
about how in 501, the fight with Robbie and Johnny, like how satisfying it was because, these guys, they just picked on Miguel and we love Miguel.
Hmm.
Like, oh my God, we forgot that there was a moment that we kind of thought he was a bit of a dick, season
Yeah.
one,
Hmm.
so kind of crazy. How we've like changed, how we felt about like these characters over time, even
Hmm.
like, season four, Robbie, I was just like, oh, you jackass, so. Um, his number four, Johnny versus Kreese, Daniel versus Kreese. Season three, episode 10. Wow. To that point, for the legacy characters, nothing came close to this level of danger and epicness. The way, the way the way they cut it with the Vietnam flashback was epic too. Um, that definitely crossed my mind. The
Hmm.
again imagery. I remember the sequence in the trailer where we see Johnny kick that back door open. Like, oh,
Hmm.
what's happening? And the way they cut that freaking trailer made
Hmm.
us think. What was it? I think we thought that Daniel was gonna go there and he was like tied up to a chair or something. I kind of forget. I have to
Because
watch the trailer
we
again.
see, yeah, Daniel going in and it's dark, and then you see Johnny going in and it's dark, and it was actually episode one and episode 10.
Right,
but
right.
but
Yeah.
we didn't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I kind of remember now. Because yeah, like how Daniel does his, Daniel walking into a dark room kind of thing. So he does
Yeah.
that. So I think what I remember thinking was that Johnny kicks the door to go save Daniel because Daniel probably got beat up badly. Yeah. So that trailer, man, that's a really really good one.
Hmm.
Back to number three, season three, episode three. Yes. Right? No, he doesn't have the episode number. Oh,
Oh.
I think he means six. He just says season three E. So I
Oh.
think this
Oh.
was six. King Cobra, is that Hawk versus Brooks?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. What's not to like? I was like, damn, this show is upping it every season in physicality and didn't sugarcoat the amount of anger and pain spent up in a kid constantly bullied for years. It was a tough one. And again, that in my mind, I called that a physical altercation because I don't even know if Brooks got a lick in, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of
The
similar to another altercation in season four with another character. So yeah, I definitely thought about that. His number two, season five, episode 10, Silver versus Chosen. Stakes had never been higher since Karate Kid 2. So many predictions beforehand, and Hayden's cryptic trolling had put the aura of impending death to me throughout the fight. That's a good point that he makes because another reason that maybe I love the way Joseph worded it, right? Like he's like, okay, this is how I felt like the first time I saw it.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. A lot of us thought Chosen
Exactly.
was gonna freaking die, and
Yeah.
so like, yeah. So if I went with that criteria, that probably would have made my list. Um, Good one there. His number one, season five, episode five, Silver versus Daniel, Stingray's apartment. I don't think I screamed yes. Oh no. Any more in that season than that scene. I remember bouncing on my seat. Yes, I am an apologetic Silver fan. Not
I
why I
knew.
thought he had that at one, but fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. All right, great list, Joseph. Thank you very much for that. The next one comes from Cisco. He says Johnny and Daniel against the guys who stole the minivan. Them teaming up together was great to see for the first time. Yeah, hard to agree. The last one comes from Emily. She says the mini mart fight between Johnny and Kyler's crew was the key to the success of the whole series. The Crown Prince of Cobra Kai had to announce his return to the arena with authority, and holy cow, did he ever! That fight was so long and so complex. Johnny began with a massive kick to Kyler's head and ended with his hands around his enemy's throat, thereby addressing his two signal humiliations. taking ownership of them and turning them in his favor. And then the authorities, completely absent in 1984, correctly intervened and held him to account. Also, the soundtrack for that fight was incredible. And don't forget the little growing pole and Grimace. Masterful storytelling and terrific introduction to Johnny Lawrence. I absolutely swooned. Yeah, really good one.
Yeah.
So how she went in depth with that one. So yeah, you guys, thank you so much for your list. A lot of us like the same ones. Joseph with a different reason for his number one being the same as mine. Um, but yeah, really good one. So I guess this is kind of the point where we're gonna announce the next topic. So when you and I got on this recording, I had a topic in mind. And towards the
You
end
hadn't
here,
picked it already.
yeah, well, I had one picked and I was going to announce it, but then kind of going through our list and some of the things mentioned, I went ahead and changed it.
Oh,
So for the next topic, I won't say what was originally going to go with, so that way, like, it's there for the taking in
you
the
can
future.
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, and keep for your collection, or maybe
Yeah.
you even decide on it yourself. But the one I am now going to go with is you made this one difficult, so I'll make this one difficult. Top five episodes
Oh,
of Cobra Kai. Yes. Take that, watch party.
it's funny because it's so amazing because during this I almost made a comment. I was when we were talking about one of the fights, I was gonna
Uh,
say, and this if we do a top five episodes, this may be this would be my top five episodes.
maybe that's what made me change my
Yeah,
mind, you know?
yeah. So it was amazing. So yeah, I almost even brought that up right there in this podcast, but I held back.
So did
Uh,
I.
because
Because
I held back because I didn't want to give away what one of my top five episodes would be, but uh,
I feel we might be talking about the same one.
mm,
So, and on that note, you guys have some time. I would imagine no, definitely not before Memorial Day weekend, right? Memorial Day will be on a Monday at the time of this recording. You and I, we haven't discussed it. I'm assuming you have plans, but this will give people some time to email in possibly or join the group to submit their feedback if they want to do it there. Um, and then so yeah, as we close up here, do you have any videos you want to pimp out? Anything that you're currently working on that you'd like to share?
yeah, I put out, I think, a significant video about season six. We got some info about what looks like to be the length. We decided it wasn't news specifically because it wasn't announced. But if you want to check out my channel, if you're curious how long season six will be, maybe more than 10 episodes, I just put out a video. A lot of people have been sharing it. Thanks for that. And you can go check that out.
Yeah, yeah, and that video that you posted, that's about 6.5 minutes. So
Mhm.
for those that work, you can do that on your break, your lunch. Very easy to watch. And if you don't have time to watch, you can always just listen to it. I mean, I guess if you're still paying for premium. So definitely check that out, and I love that video because now it changes everything. You're talking about the length there, and if this is to be true, and we're getting, I won't get into the details of that video, but that opens up like a whole new
Mhm.
like theories, right? That we
Yeah,
could talk about with season six because
for
when
sure.
we did the episode things we want to see in season six, I had it in my mind like what is plausible with what we've kind of been getting with the past few seasons. So if they are longer, that does open up the door for more possible returns of characters, and kind of doing their version of Endgame, just having everybody come back and serving some part just to kind of give us their own ending. So really
Mhm.
do like that. I don't have anything else currently going on. Again, Twisted Metal won't come out until July 27th. All episodes will stream 10 episodes, 30 minutes each, I believe. Peacock TV, that one. And at this time, still no word on Obliterated, but that is definitely a show I will be covering as well, future coverage there. So, Cobra Kai Companion on Instagram, Cobra Kai Pod on Twitter, and Watch Parties at Watch Party One on both Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So until the next episode, we will see you guys next time.
Bye. No, keep fighting.